The sun scorched the Sahara. The air hung thick with dust, a golden curtain swallowing the sky. A convoy of jeeps crawled forward, wheels kicking up clouds of white. Packs swayed on their backs. Among them, crates stacked high with rations, water barrels, and crates labeled top secret. The lead vehicle hummed, its engine a fragile promise in the vastness. This was Operation Market Garden, the longest day, but not for these men. They were the Americans who had come to supply the Allies. Yet, in the desert, survival was a battle fought alone. Soldiers adjusted their photo goggles, their faces buried in scarves. The horizon shimmered, a mirage of false promises. The oasis was a trap. Halfway up the escarpment, another vehicle exploded into flames. The fire danced in the wind, a beacon for Hitler's eyes in Berlin. Hitler had watched the Allies advance with growing fury. He had seen the Germans retreat, the Americans and British pushing into France. He had signed the orders that would change it. But the desert was not a battlefield. It was a laboratory. Scientists in the sand, a clandestine unit of the U.S. Army, had been sent here. Their mission, to study the environment, to prepare for the greater war. They were not soldiers, but scientists in uniform, carrying notebooks and tools instead of weapons. Their lives, like the mission, were a secret. No one knew their names. No one would speak of them. The convoy moved on, the oasis dwindling behind them. The desert swallowed them whole. A bomb fell from the sky, the first they had seen. A B-26 Marauder, its engine roaring as it unleashed its payload. The explosion lit the dunes in fire. The convoy scattered, tires screeching against the sand. A jeep flipped over, its crew trapped beneath the wheels. The men shouted, their voices muffled by the heat. One soldier, Sergeant James Doyle, snatched his radio. "This is 2nd Platoon! We need support!" His voice was sharp, urgent. The response came through the static. "Stand by. Doyle. We're assessing the damage." The plane had been shot down by a German fighter. The pilots' bodies would never be found. The desert buried them. The Americans, 42 strong, returned to the oasis. But the mission had changed. The once secret unit was now a myth. Their story, lost in the sands. The war in Europe had ended. The Allies had defeated Hitler. But the desert still held its secrets. The Americans, their mission fulfilled, began the journey back. They marched through the ruins, their feet raw from the sand. The oasis was gone. The corpses of their companion soldiers lay buried, unmarked. Hitler had watched from his bunker, his eyes on the skies. The war was over, but the desert remained a place of shadows. The Americans, their secrets safe, returned to the world. But the desert had taken their stories. The army that vanishes in the desert. No one saw them. No one remembered. They were just men, men who had come to serve, and died in the sands, their names forgotten, their deeds unrecorded. The desert took them all, the army that vanished, the story buried. The last heat wave of summer had left the dunes blistered, the horizon a jagged line of sun-blackened sand. In the center of that glare, a skeletal map of a makeshift camp emerged, its tent lines a fragile skeleton against the monochrome sky. Around the perimeter, the bodies of the 42 U.S. soldiers lay staggered, their white army jackets flapping in a wind that had nothing to soften it. In the distance, low-lying clouds curled around the ridge, hinting at a storm that would wash away what the desert had buried. The organization that had survived was no longer a unit. It was a rumor passed from one dusty mess tent to another. The men who had once held oscilloscopes in their gloves now clutched diaries, their ink smudged by sweat and ash. The scientist, a former physics professor named Dr. Carl Fredrickson, whispered to the desert wind, "We measured the ionospheric distortion during the raids." The radio silence was nothing but a coincidence. His voice, thin as the sand's breath, betrayed a truth that had no place in the official after-war reports, a truth that required secrecy to survive. When the war ended, the Allies were ecstatic about the victory. But the deserts that had sheltered counterintelligence and biological experiments showed no sorrow. A handful of German army technicians, captured and released, spread word among the displaced. They spoke of a squadron of invisible soldiers who had walked into the dunes to test a new chemical agent. The rumors grew, fed by the spectral memories of the desert's endless horizon.